Green ready? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to welcome everyone here and then everyone also watching via live stream. We're so excited to have you join us this evening for our Ouachita Parish Police Jury Forum. I'd like to start off by saying I'm Sheila Snow. I am the Government Chair for the West Monroe Ouachita Chamber of Commerce. And we would like to give special thanks this evening to our community event coordinators, the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, the West Monroe Ouachita Chamber of Commerce, 90.3 KEDM, and our host for this evening, Louisiana Delta Community College. We're very grateful for them allowing us to use this beautiful space here on their campus. Before we get into the introduction of the candidates, I just would like to remind everyone that voting for this election will be October 14th, 2023. But you can vote early. You don't have to have a reason. You can just go ahead and make your decisions. And so all voters may vote early, just like you're voting on election day. You can find out voting locations at by visiting govote.com, or you can check out the GoVote app. Let's see, early voting dates are September 30th through October 7th, excluding October 1st, and that'll be 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. So I'll go ahead and introduce our forum guests this evening. So we're going to start all the way over here on this side. We have candidates for District A, Tony Bacon and Timothy Hatton. For District B, we have Police Juror Jack Clampett. For District C, we have Police Juror Larry Bratton and candidate Lee Denny. District D, we have Janice Hayes, Dr. Olabeth Reddix, and Police Juror Michael Thompson. For District E, we have Victoria Elliott and Police Juror Shane Smiley. And for District F, we have Police Juror Lonnie Hudson and candidate Clifford Thomas. Thank you all for joining us this evening. So a bit about the format tonight, just so you're ready. It's going to include a series of randomly asked questions. We're going to have 3 to 4 rounds, depending on time. We have already drawn randomly what order the districts will go in, but we will pose a question to each of you in that district, and then we'll move on to the next district. So the order will be kind of random throughout the evening, and at the end of our rounds of questions, you'll each be given 1 minute for a closing statement. To get us kicked off, I would like to welcome President and CEO of the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, Roy Heatherly.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Louisiana Delta. Thank you, Jay. This is always a good event. And we're going to start today. I'm going to jump right into the questions for time. We're going to start with District A and Ms. Bacon. You get the first question, and then we'll go to Mr. Hatton. First question is, what are the unique challenges facing the police jury or your district?
Well, I believe my district is not dissimilar from the other districts, but I think some challenges that we face deal a lot with roads and drainage issues and infrastructure issues. I believe that's one thing. As I've been out talking with different business owners and different individuals, that's the main thing that I hear about. I also hear about business development and bringing businesses into our area, as well as our taxes, and I do not like that sign, as well as our tax rate being one of the highest compared to some other parishes, and concerns about higher taxes and what can we do to offset that. I do believe what Mayor Mitchell is doing with Shop Local, that initiative definitely helps us be able to increase new dollars to come into our area, so we have more funds available to take care of some of these programs.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hatton, what are the unique challenges facing the police jury or your district?
I think the biggest challenge that I face, not necessarily mirror Tony, but we hear the same thing, we're talking to the same people. I think the biggest challenge that I'm hearing in addition to that is communication. We're just not getting the word out. And when we do present it to the board or to the jury. It's just not, it's not met with urgency. So communication, responding back is a big challenge that I'm hearing from the residents of the area, so.
Okay, thank you. The next question goes to District B, Mr. Clampett. What in your education, work, and life experience makes you a good candidate to serve?
Well, I think there's several things to do. First is that I've been in this area as long as I have, meeting and selling business leaders. By doing that, it has broadened my horizons to where I can appreciate the challenges that businesses have today. We've got to be better not only at attracting new business, but holding our businesses today. We've had in the past what I'm going to call grandma crawl. We don't have the urban flight, we don't have the white flight. We have kids that are leaving to go other places for better jobs, and we're losing. As they go there and get married and have kids, then grandma and grandpa follow because they want to be with those kids. We've got to make sure we've got good paying jobs for our people here. In order to do that, we have to have better quality of life projects. And the jury's been real good about doing those better life projects and having to advance not only to attract business, but to hold our presence business here in Memphis. And I'm well versed in those business matters.
Thank you. Our third question goes to District E, and Ms. Elliott, we're going to start with you. What makes Ouachita Parish great?
The people, the way they come together when there's a problem, the way they come together when there's things to do. We're a little slow on change, but I'm hoping that we can change that together by electing new leaders to move us forward. The people leave, the children leave to go to other areas because they're more accepted there. We should accept them here so that they will stay here once they get their college education. They will raise their children here. Their grandparents can stay here if we make them all feel welcome and not think they have to leave in order to live their lives.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smiley, what makes Ouachita Parish great?
I think the question should be what doesn't make it great. I made Ouachita Parish my home. I've been here for over 30 years. I've been involved in government for more than 50% of that time. We're situated here in northeast Louisiana where we have great schools, great churches, great places to live and worship. We have a college, we have a community college, we have good health care, good hospitals, and I think we have good leaders. I think, like Ms. Elliott said, the people here are amazing. And it's what you make it. It really is. That's what got me involved in public services. I chose to make this my home. I chose to live here, and I've chosen to make the very best of it. I've raised my daughter here. I've been employed here. I'm a small business owner here, and I want to continue to move Ouachita Parish forward.
Great, thank you, thank you. Our fourth question goes to District D, and Ms. Hayes, you're up first. What motivates you to become a police jury member?
What motivated me to become a police jury is, in my community, I see people always stopping and saying about the roads, they need, they're not patching them up, or they're not doing anything. The trees, if they got trees that's over, where I live, they have trees that is, the next person is over and to the next person. So, there's so many things that I see that I can improve if I have a chance to do it, is to be able to do it, is just to be a public jury, and I'll be able to get in there and do some of those things, at least try to help, and try to help the community grow better.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Reddix, what motivates you to become a police juror member?
Well, that is a really nice question, but I'll answer it this way. I was a police juror 4 years ago, and then I stepped down because my mother became ill to the point that she needed me to be at her side. So I there was nothing there for me to say, you stay. So I left to be alone. But 4 years later, January the 9th, she passed away. And I was not going to even consider it, but as time got toward qualifying, there became this burden. And the burden was because I really had not completed my assignment, which is working with the full community, with the schools. There's a very big vaping problem. There's a very big drug problem in the school systems. And as a police juror, we can also help, not just with the roads, but the infrastructure of our children, our schools. That's very important to me, and I've invested a lot of my time in working with the school and so many other things, but I'm just not finished. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson, what motivates you to become a police jury member?
What motivates me the most is our people. To piggyback on Ms. Elliott, our people are special and awesome people that in time of trouble we do come together. Back in 2016 when the flood came and destroyed our community, what actually motivated me the most is when I was able to use not only my business or resources for others, but I was able to use myself to help our community the most. When persons were displaced by the storm, they all came in and they needed someone to help them. And after helping them and doing what needed to be done for our community, I had an opportunity to jump in and help. And not only that, just helping, but being there. So that motivates me the most, and being able to listen to the people and people that have pushed me to this position, because they needed someone to advocate for them. And I feel that we have done that thus far.
Thank you very much. The fifth question goes to District F, and we will start with Mr. Hudson. What do you see as the biggest opportunity for the police jury in the next few years?
The biggest opportunity I see for the police jury in the next few years is bringing business to Ouachita Parish. We got to make sure we focus on working across the lines and working with each other, bringing new ideas to this parish, understanding what this parish needs. We are working on new business coming here, such as the solar plant. You're looking at new ideas in this parish. We're looking at new corporate business, want to bring in business here in Ouachita Parish. The question is, how can we present Ouachita Parish to them? So we got to make sure we continue to offer them incentives to bring their business here. We have a lot of land to develop. So we want to make sure we continue to bring them to the table, see what their ideas are, working together with common cause and putting business back in Ouachita Parish.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thomas, what do you see as the biggest opportunity for the police jury in the next few years?
I believe the biggest opportunity is the camaraderie that we would have one with another on the jury. If we work in a cooperative effort, we can actually solve some of the issues that are facing the entire parish. Most issues that we have are shared issues as it relates to flooding, drainage, street problems, and trash and peripheral in our district. In order for us to advance this district, we have to actually take care of that infrastructure first, so that people who want to live here and work here and stay here and not leave and not have the plight of youth that we're having now and of other residents. Ouachita Parish is a great place to live, but we got to look beyond just representing our district and look at this from a total perspective and say, hey, let's just put aside different district lines and work for the good of the parish so that we can advance the parish as a whole. Because as one district develops and propels to be a good district, so does the parish. So we want all the district, the entire parish, to propel to be excellent, so that the people will get the service that they desire.
Okay, thank you. And the last question in round one goes to District C, and Mr. Bratton, we're going to start with you. If elected, what would you hope would be key accomplishments of the board during your years of service?
So as we move forward, I mean, there's a lot of things that we're working on. And like we work on numerous different things at any one particular time. Some of the big issues that we have going forward right now certainly would be what I would call off-road drainage. You know, the condition of our roads is totally dependent on us being able to keep water off of those roads, and keep those roads from going under water. So that's going to be one of the biggest key issues that we got going forward. We don't have a funding source for that at this particular point in time, but by golly, we gotta come up with one. We do not have the capacity to be able to keep funding public works at the rate that we're going right now to keep up with the road deficit bills that we have. So that's certainly one of them. But some of the other things going forward is economic development certainly. We're working on about 3 or 4 different economic development projects right now that are gonna be really key to this particular area. I think we're very close to catching those guys. And as we keep moving forward with that, bringing new businesses in, having the infrastructure available for them certainly is key critical to this.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Denny, if elected, what would you hope would be key accomplishments of the board during your years of service?
You know, as everyone spoke tonight about roads and drainage, and certainly that's a problem. But it's the infrastructure in the public works department that's the problem. We don't, as you talk to public works director, they don't have the labor that is needed. We can have all the money in the world to fix roads and drainage, and that's certainly an issue. But you gotta have the manpower to do it. You know, paying these guys qualified workers that can drive, you know, whether it's the heavy equipment and the big trucks, and to fix our problems in the road and drainage aspect, you gotta have qualified workers. Paying them $12, $13 an hour, it's not gonna cut it. We gotta increase the budget for public works to hire qualified workers to operate the equipment that we spend so much money on investing in Ouachita Parish.
Okay, thank you very much. And we're getting ready to start round 2. And before we do, I want to say thank you to all of you all, because it takes very special people to step up and want to serve their communities and jump in the arena and go through what you go through. So thank you all very, very much for stepping up and trying to be part of the solution. So in round 2, we're going to start with District D. And this time, Dr. Reddix, you get the first question, okay? How can our parish best ensure job opportunities and that students are prepared for success in school and life?
Well, as I said before, working with the school systems is going to be imperative for the police jury. We have that ability to seek out resources and to partner with to find out how to have real life jobs where when the students, something similar to Richwood, but when the students are ready to leave the school system, they're literally job ready. And so when industries, before we had a dearth of qualified workers, but when industries understand that our school systems are fortified with the ability to qualify these students to step out, even at young ages, to go into these areas, then we become a much more attractive area. So I say to partner with the school system so that we can boost up and fortify not only the second degree, but the vocational aspect, because as we all know, if you don't work, you don't eat. So invested in students learning real life trades is important for us.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thompson, how can our parish best ensure job opportunities and that students are prepared for success in school and life?
For the last 2 years, we have been able to give funding to our own entity, which is the Workforce Investment Board. Our children, we gave over $100,000 to that program for our children to be able to do summer jobs. When we're able to invest in our workforce, we're able to allow children that go through school to be job ready during the summer. They're able to get skills and trades that they normally don't have at their own schools. So we'll be partnering with our workforce, also try to partner with our local school system, that they'll be able to get the resources that we can provide to them already, and they'll be job ready. And so it's up to us to be able to have a collaborative effort along with our school system and our community to ensure that our children are getting the tools that they need for the future.
Thank you. Ms. Hayes, how can our parish best ensure job opportunities and that students are prepared for success in school and life?
First, like Mr. Red, Dr. Red said, first of all, with the school system, you got to be able to work with the school system to make sure that the kids will be able to get a job or whatever. But I'm gonna go to our foster parent, and have been for a long time. What I find is these kids, what life do they have? start out, their parents are not there. Here it is, I have to come in and be their parent. And that's what I'm doing. I'm fostering 3 boys right now. And I'm educating them because I want them to be the best they can be. And I know they can be it. And that's how come I'm working hard as I can to get up there. And thank God, I'm so glad God gave me that opportunity. Because if I can send one child out there and he can get and go to college and make something out of himself, then maybe he can come back and help someone else to go to school and do the same thing that I'm doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is going to go to District F. And Mr. Thomas, you start this round. What specific strengths would you bring to the jury?
The ability to be able to work with people, as I stated in my earlier statement. I have been all my life working in law enforcement, and I've worked in the ministry now as an administrative pastor of my church. So I have the compassion and I have the patience and to be able to get with people, to work with people, and to get the job done. Not in a radical sense, but in a compromising work in order to where not only our district would be taken care of, but that we would work harmoniously with other jurors to make sure that the job is done. We know that crime is a big problem, and it's okay, maybe you should never have a sheriff. We can address crime from whether you're on the police jury, whether you're on the city council. It's a problem in our parish. So my first effort would be to get the police jury to pass a resolution to where we would ask all law enforcement to come together, and whatever hotspots we have in the parish, that crime is a big problem, we want them to get together and work that and solve that, whatever problem that is. But we don't want boundaries and jurisdiction to be a hindrance to us having a safe community, because if we want anybody to come, we have to have a safe community.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Hudson, what specific strengths would you bring to the jury?
One of the specific strengths I bring is leadership. Leadership, and with that leadership, you get transportation. For an example, I work in an industry where it's transportation. You talk about our roads. Look at our roads. I know our roads are in a bad condition. I want to make sure that we show strength and leadership when it comes to addressing the needs and the concerns of the people here in Ouachita Parish. Not only in Ouachita Parish, but in District F. We have a lot of problems, and at the end of the day, I want to make sure I continue to work with the community, hear their concerns, address their concerns as their voice at this jury, and that's what I bring, strong leadership.
Thank you. The next question goes to District A, and Mr. Hatton, you're up first. How do you build consensus on a divided topic?
I think the best way to do that is listen. Listen to what they have to say. Listen to what their needs are, and then work together. I think that's the biggest problem in a lot of areas is we want what we want. We don't listen to what other people are needing. So it's all about me. Rather than have that all about me mentality, working with each other, explaining what the needs are, explaining and listening to what their concerns are, and then working together to meet the needs of both parties. It's already been mentioned that they want more unity on the jury, and that's what we can bring together, getting the needs of all of our districts met.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Bacon, how do you build consensus on a divided topic?
Well, I have some experience in this, and just serving on different organizations that I've been a part of. I serve on several different boards throughout the community, and if you've been on a board, you know that you never have 100% consensus, but that's what makes boards work. If everybody was the same, we wouldn't get anything done. It'd be very one-sided. You need collaboration, people with different ideas to share, because you're not the expert in every area. You have to build on each other's strengths and weaknesses and put together the best group that you can. I believe one of the things that you can do is find out the perspective that people's answer, their view comes from. Put yourself in their position and, like Tim said, to listen, but truly realize what each other's strengths are and play to those strengths, and that's how you get things done and affect change.
Thank you very much. The next question goes to Mr. Clampett in District B, if you could change one thing in our parish, what would it be and why?
I think a large part of that would be, it's still, we go back to infrastructure, and let's talk about it several ways. We have so many miles of roads that it's unbelievable of hard surface roads to maintain. We've got to come up with a better system of maintaining that. But just as well, we need to look at the infrastructure of water and sewer. And that's something that the jury did in the last year, year and a half. We took $9 million of federal money and parlayed it into over $20 million by matching it with businesses and money from the state. It moved our parish ahead 30 years in the water and sewer business. So that's one thing that's really been great. And the fact that this jury works together so well has actually been great. We've been able to see each other's problems, appreciate them, and move forward. So the parish is on the right road. I think we're headed even more success with that in the past.
Okay, thank you. The next question goes to District C. Mr. Denny, we'll start with you. What should Ouachita Parish be doing differently to develop our workforce?
Well, I think, you know, I know the police jury in the parish and collaborating with city governments also has increased to make a bigger presence in job training and getting the job ready. Because when we attract these businesses that want to come to town, the main question they want to ask is, do we have qualified workers to employ? And I think with Louisiana Delta Community College and ULM, we're offering more programs to train our workers and to train our young people so that they can be ready for job placement as soon as the corporation is ready to come to town. And look, corporations all over the state and all over the South are looking. They're looking to locate. They're looking to locate a place where we have a river that can help them. And we fortunately have that river. So that's something we need to utilize more of, is that jewel that we have right here in our backyard.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bratton, what should Ouachita Parish be doing differently to develop our workforce?
Well, I think we're on the right track. You know, we now have our workforce development group. We've Matt Dixon leading the charge on that. Matter of fact, he and I actually had a visit. We visited with one of the small engineering firms that we have here that actually does telecommunications engineering. So we went out there and we addressed the individuals. They went from about 10 people to almost 40 people right now. So they're growing pretty rapidly. So we went to the individuals and we said, okay, so what is it that we can do to help you? He said, well, you know, I do have one issue that's really kind of something that I do need some help with. So they use drafters. So ultimately, here at Delta Community College, we put out drafters. But the problem is that the complexity of the training that they're getting here at Delta is not really necessary for the job they have. So what we did was we brought Delta in. They met with the individual that's running that particular firm, and now they're going to come up with a curriculum to be able to help them to work that out. We need to be doing that with every business that we got out here. What is it that we can do to refine the aspects of the training that you're getting to ultimately make you successful and be able to make this the attractive area for businesses to come?
Thank you. And the last question in round two goes to District E, and Mr. Smiley, we start with you. What are our parish's greatest assets, and how would you leverage their potential?
I think our greatest assets, again, are our colleges, our Delta Community College and ULM. Not every region, not every city has a university. I've said many times, if you remove that university, that is our real economic driver here in Ouachita Parish. If you take the university out, we're like many other small rural communities without an economic driver. I think we need to market the university. We need to market Delta Community College. I think that we also need to, as some others said, I think we need to understand and realize that not everybody is going to go and get a higher education. So we need to find an avenue for those students who are not going to college, get them on a track where they can develop a trade that's going to benefit all of us.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Elliott, what are our parish's greatest assets, and how would you leverage their potential?
Our greatest asset is our people and our willingness to work together to get things done and move each other forward. The college is wonderful. I love the We have healthcare companies that work together to help people. We have new businesses coming in. We've got new employees going to work for those businesses that want to feel like they belong. That's what we need to do, is find a way to include everybody in all of it, as far as jobs and shopping and events. We need the arts. Everything is important in Monroe. Our arts department here is fabulous, even if you're not in school. SYAA, the Little Theater, and the Adult Theater, absolutely fabulous. But we have to find ways to bring the people in, keep the people happy, and working together and feeling included, not running them off because they don't feel like they live here, even if they've been here 25 years. Thank you.
Thank you. And as we begin round 3, I'm going to invite my friend Christopher Kelly, who is Executive Director of the West Monroe, West Ouachita Chamber of Commerce, up to take on the next questions. And Chris really did a lot of work to organize this, so well done, Chris. And they're ready to go. All right.
Thanks, Roy. We appreciate all the candidates and their time and making yourself available so we can learn more about you and also your view as you bring your talents to the police jury for Ouachita Parish. So in round 3, we'll be going to District E first. Mr. Smiley, the question first goes to you. What's more important for our parish right now? Building new homes and commercial space, or rehabbing, expanding, better utilizing homes and storefronts that exist?
I think that they're equally as important. I think that, ultimately we want to grow the parish. That has been a goal of mine and of the jury's for many years. Mr. Clampett likes to say that he's got the fastest growing area in the parish, and sometimes we agree on that, sometimes we don't. I think that it's important to rehab storefronts. I think that it's and that some of the downtown areas that have become blighted, I do. But I think that we also, in doing so, we need to have a purpose. I don't think that you go in and you begin those type projects without a purpose. I think it's very, very important. I couldn't tell you the exact number of developments that we've had to date this year, but I can tell you that people are building, even with inflation like it is, they are building every day. And we're very proud and very fortunate to have those communities growing.
The question now to Ms. Elliott. What's more important for our parish right now? Building new homes and commercial spaces, or rehabbing what exists?
I think right now for us it's more important to get the citizens that don't have homes into their own homes, and the rest will evolve with that. Home ownership is the first step in growing generational wealth. We need to help people to start doing that so they're not living in apartments and assisted living for forever because they don't know or they don't understand or they need help finding ways to get into housing for themselves. As far as storefronts, they're going to evolve as people buy businesses and want them to look a certain way or get more fancy or go back or, it's more about the people than the storefronts.
Fantastic. We're going to move now to District B for the next question. Mr. Clampett, if you received a $10 million grant for using the parish in any way you wanted, what would you do with it and why?
Well, I think the first thing we look at is we go back to infrastructure, see where we're at there, see what we need to fix in order to attract business and to serve our citizens better. We did that in several areas that kept Northwest Monroe their sewer when we got grants. We did that, the same thing with water on some of the water companies. When you solve those problems, you solve a big part of why industry wants to come here. We need to also look at our workforce. Recently, we gave $250,000 to one of the worst workforce development teams. And the reason we did that is because we have openings today in Ouachita Parish for 250 welders. That's good paying jobs for people that'll be here all the time. We need to educate our citizens on those jobs. We need to work with our trade schools, help them get some more money so that they can teach the trade. When you come out of school, you immediately go to work. We have needs for those people here in Ouachita Parish. And that's a great place to invest any money we get.
Thank you, sir. We're going to jump now to District D. Mr. Thompson, jobs are a must for a vibrant economy. What's the most important thing the police jury can do to attract business to Ouachita Parish?
The thing that we can do is something that we should all be doing, that's making sure that our community is clean. We know that businesses will go places that are clean, that the community are engaged in community functions, that we're all engaging in every aspect of the community. And so we have to do everything together. Everybody have to bring all their resources together to make sure that we are pushing economic development, that we're pushing jobs, and making sure that all of our schools are getting everything that they need, even the smallest schools. From smaller schools all the way down to OIC, all of them that are giving education to our children, we should be driving them, pushing them, and trying to make sure that they are at the forefront of even our page, if we can get one. We should be advertising them. We should be letting people know that we have all of these entities in our community.
The question now goes to Ms. Hayes. Ms. Hayes, jobs are a must for a vibrant economy. What's the most important thing the police jury can do to attract business to Ouachita Parish?
I think, like you say, they have to be educated. People should be educated in order to do that. And they need to have, the kids should be grown up. I say when they grow up, the kids should be educated so they could, be able to have jobs in this area. But like, this takes more than just one person to do it. It takes a whole group of jurors to do that. You need to sit down. Like I said, I've never been a juror before, but I've been a businesswoman before. So I've been in business for 38 years and I know how to run a business. It just don't work with one person. It works with a gang of, juror people.
The question now goes to Dr. Redditz. Dr. Redditz, jobs are a must for a vibrant economy. What's the most important thing the police jury can do to attract business to Ouachita Parish?
What I think is that before a business moves into an area, it looks at the quality of life for the people that come there. And the quality of life depends on not just the schools, it depends on the entertainment, it depends on not just the social structure. And so what we should be doing is finding ways to make our prospective businesses feel as if this is a home away from home. So you have, there are some places, some churches that are very successful in keeping the youth. There's some churches that have a dirt. So you want to partner with the ones who have success to find out what makes people drawn to you. And from that, you begin to create a model that you can begin to affect so that you begin in the parish to set a plan that will become attractive to others looking into the parish to come.
Okay. We're going to transition down to District A. The question first goes to Ms. Bacon. Ms. Bacon, what would you do to address infrastructure needs in your specific district?
Well, first, so I've driven through our district as well as other places in the parish, and I've met with different people and business owners. One of the things that I would do first is to gather them together and have a community meeting, as well as have business round table where I speak to businesses, because there are some businesses that when we go and call them, because as a commercial lender, that's what I do, I visit with businesses every day, is get their opinion, what will it take for us to help you succeed and be more successful? And so when you learn about that, sometimes what they need to be successful is better infrastructure to get people there. And so those are things that I would make a priority, and I think that we should. So if all of this is to elevate our parish as a whole, we have to hear from the people and see what their needs are as far as infrastructure goes.
Thank you. Mr. Hatton, what would you do to address infrastructure needs in your district?
First of all, I'd try to find ways to get more money. I think that's probably been the biggest issue, is getting the funding that we need to provide the fixes to what's causing some of the problems with our infrastructure now. Finding ways to get more money, writing grants, getting help from the state, getting help from the federal government, looking at the budget, where can we reallocate funding that help fix some of the needs that we have within the parish. Not just in District A, but throughout the parish. There's roads that need repaired in B. There's roads that need repaired in F. I mean, there's roads that need ditches and drainage that needs to be repaired. Let's find the money to put towards those projects and get them repaired quickly.
Thank you. We're going to transition now to District F. Mr. Hudson, the question goes to you first. What's the one thing you've seen work for a parish that you'd like to bring to Ouachita Parish?
One thing I've seen work is communication. Communication, when you bring all like minds to the table, you address the needs and the concerns of people. And when you bring the needs and concerns of people, you come up with brighter ideas. And when you come up with brighter ideas, you come up with solutions to the problem. And when you come up with solutions to the problem, you got results. So what we have to continue doing, like he was saying earlier, continue working across the aisles with each other, bringing like minds, and bringing the problem to the table, correcting the problem, seeing other solutions, how we can advance and move forward from there.
Excellent. So the question now goes to Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas, what's one thing you've seen work for another parish that you'd like to bring to Ouachita Parish?
I think that we should have more intergovernmental agreements between the governments of the police, jury, the city council, and within all the municipalities within the parishes. We have a problem. A lot of our districts run within and through the city limits. They intermingle with the city limits. So we're not just in some rural areas outside the city limits. A lot of our district crosses over into the city. So if we have problems in District F, let's give, for example, drainage and flooding. A lot of those are within the city limits. In my particular district, for District F, they cross over in the city. So maybe we could come up with some kind of interagency or intergovernmental agreement to where we can take some of the funds that we have budgeted for drainage and flooding and match it with the cities, and let's try to use it cooperatively and try to address the problem. It doesn't matter if it says the city's problem is the police jury's problem. If we are crossing district and jurisdiction within one another, we need to just put our resources together to address whatever problems it is to help the people, because it's all about the people.
Thank you, sir. We're going to transition now to District C. Mr. Bratton, the question goes to you first. How has the police jury's 4-day work week helped or hurt the parish?
Well, certainly, I don't think that it's hurt the parish by any means. You know, typically, when you went into the administration office on Friday afternoon, it was very, very slow, very, very quiet. Look, I'm going to tell you, in my previous job, we went to 4-day work weeks too. You know, a lot of times the cost of starting up and quitting is probably some of the biggest costs that you deal with. So ultimately, bringing it down and knocking it off to a 4-day work week, I think that we extend the work time that they're in during the 4 days that they're there, and then certainly we get a few more hours in on Friday morning. I think that they're more productive, to be honest with you. I think it's a great idea. And look, there's nothing better than having employee morale. I mean, when you have morale high, productivity goes up, everything goes up. The customers that come into that office are greeted with smiles and they're greeted with what we call an energetic opportunity from the individuals that are working there. I think it's a great idea. I think it's worked very well.
Mr. Denning, the same question goes to you. How has the police jury's 4-day work week helped or hurt the parish?
Well, I served as a police sheriff for 8 years in another parish, East Carroll Parish, and also police jury president over there for 4 years. In my term over there, we integrated a 4.5-day work week where we knocked off at noon on Friday. And what I saw there is the same holds true here. You know, to echo what Mr. Bratton just said, it increases your workforce during the week. They know they got a job to do, and they're looking forward to getting off on Friday. A lot of people really mentally and physically check out on Friday in whatever job they're doing, and that's true. And we gotta face that, we gotta understand that. So let's work these guys and girls and get the most work we can, and not talking about mostly the public work and for the road drainage departments. And see what we can get done in the shortest amount of time, and let them recuperate mentally and physically on that fifth day.
Thank you. So that's the end of round 3. As we transition to round 4, we'll go first to District B. Mr. Clampett, what's the most encouraging thing you've seen or heard on the campaign trail as you're campaigning for District B?
Well, I think they've looked at what I've done over the last 8 years, and they see that I've been severely invested in the parish. Not only in my district, but all the way across the parish. They like the fact that they can get in touch with me instantly. As everybody in this room knows, I'm a Facebook fanatic, a prolific poster, okay? And they can reach me in a matter of minutes. I always return my calls 24/7. I say 24/7. Ms. Clampett has a rule, no calls after 10 o'clock, no calls before 7 o'clock. If you call in that time frame, you get Ms. Clampett, not me. But they like the fact that they can get in touch with me. I may not have the answer they want, and I won't tell them a lie. They don't like it sometimes, but they say they like the fact that they hear the truth. I don't promise them a road if they can't get a road. So that's been very encouraging. Everywhere I hear people say the same thing. We like the work you're doing, we like your dedication, and we want to keep you for another 4 years.
We're going to transition now to District C. Mr. Denny, is there something you would cut from the budget in the parish?
That's a good question, considering I'm not a police juror currently. I don't know that I can answer that educated. I don't know that I would cut anything, but I'm just gonna go off and say what I would add. I would add more budgetary money to the labor force, to hire qualified labor to work in our parish. We need more help, we need more qualified labor to work on our roads and drainage. I mean, you can go out throughout the community in any parish in Louisiana. The 3 things that they care about: how are your roads, how is your drainage, and how is your health care. Our health care is great in Ouachita Parish. Everybody knows that. Our flood mitigation and our roads are still not up to where they need to be in Ouachita Parish, and that's going to be an ongoing problem forever. We understand that. But I think we got to add more money to the budget as far as labor. And I'm specifically talking about road and drainage work, public works. We got to get qualified workers so we can fix these problems.
Thank you. Mr. Bratton, now the question goes to you. Is there something that you would cut from the budget in Ouachita Parish?
No, I don't necessarily think that we need to be cutting, but I certainly don't believe that we need to add any more taxes either. I think that our biggest problem is in some of the areas that we have, we're able to get what I would call some capital services that are sitting in there. I think sometimes that we need to go back, we need to get with our attorneys and see what we got to do some rededications of what the purpose of the particular resolution that people voted on were. You know, I think within public works, we probably got some good money that we could rededicate to some off-road drainage and maybe even to help improve our road work. I feel that we're going to be better off ultimately being able to go out into contract more work. Therefore, being able to keep more people dedicated to the everyday issues that we got within public work to really be able to help with that. But I think we got enough money. I think it's just somewhere we got to do some rededication of what we're doing with the purpose of that money.
So we're going to transition now to District F. Mr. Thomas, how would you work to diversify our economy in Ouachita Parish?
I think we need to look at the people we serve and from the schools, from starting, beginning with the schools, and what some of the surveys have revealed that our young people and people that are coming out of both the higher education and through colleges, what some of their focus is on, their desires, or what some of the studies, or what more people are enrolled in, so that we can try to match those people with some job courses and job development, whether it's in colleges, because I see we refer a lot to the community college, which is a big opportunity for those that can't make it to regular college, to ULM. But I think instead of just directing our people to vocational schools and to community college, we need to set the goal that they can complete college, they can be well trained, well educated, and then the jobs will be here for them to undertake.
The question goes to Mr. Hudson. Mr. Hudson, how would you work to diversify our economy?
I think we do have diversified economy. If you look at Ouachita Parish, you look at the people work together. When you look at Monroe versus West Monroe, we all one. We're a parish, and we all stay in the same community. Everybody has a different aspect in this community. We all play different roles. We all work together. So what you try to do is bring everybody to the table and say, hey, how can we make this parish even greater? We all have like minds. We all work in different areas and different portions of this parish, from north to south to east to west. We are Ouachita Parish. We are one unit, one people. I don't see color, I see people.
We'll transition now to District E. Mr. Smiley, the question goes to you first. Where is your district failing, and what would you do to address that issue?
I think that my district is failing in some areas that we've addressed earlier, roads and drainage. District E is the flattest part of the parish. You're not going to be able to solve all of the drainage issues. I will tell you that in 2017, the people of the parish did pass a 1.39 sales tax for roads and drainage. And that has been a huge win for us. We've been able to take the monies, some $2.6 million in sales tax that everybody is contributing to on the east side of the parish, and address the needs of roads and drainage. We've been able to take that money and use it as match money. And what it has done is it has brought some projects up and allowed us to complete those projects that we would have otherwise never gotten done.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Elliott, the question goes to you now. Where is your district, District E, where is it failing? What would you do to address that?
So I'm not currently on the police jury, and I don't have enough information to answer that question. So since I've been canvassing, since I have a minute, I'm going to read what a police jury is, because that is the biggest question I get from door to door. The jury consists of 6 people that are the management team for the parish. This team represents the 6 districts A through F. The jury has the support and direction of a lawyer, an engineer, and a CPA. This team directs the current business, like running a household, and looks for new avenues of business to improve Ouachita Parish. The main function of the jurors is to represent the people that they are working for. That's the best answer I got as far as what we can do better. That's it. We need to elect new leadership at least every 8 years, 2 terms. George Washington himself said 2 terms to prevent against tyranny, so that we keep the people's voice on the parish. Jerry, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move now to District D. Ms. Hayes, the question goes to you. Sometimes in North Louisiana, we feel forgotten by our elected officials in Baton Rouge. What issues do you plan to address and advocate for with a voice to Baton Rouge?
When I become, if I win and be a juror, I want to go to Baton Rouge and to address that, in the meeting. And that's the best I can tell you that I can do, because, like I say, I'm not as experienced as being a juror. But if I get in there, I'm going to fight, and I'm going to do what I have to do to go to Baton Rouge and fight for the people and, the community.
Thank you. The question now goes to Dr. Reddix. Dr. Reddix, sometimes in North Louisiana, we feel forgotten down in Baton Rouge. What issues do you plan on addressing down at the Capitol?
There are several, but let me focus on one that is an elephant in the room. A lot of times we in the parish are very offended with certain type of entities that are being allowed to be placed right next to us. The parish has a no zone, which means that if I own this property, I can do whatever I want to. But the parish has begun to evolve and grow and become urbanized, but it has not allowed its ordinance to be urbanized. So to begin to re-educate the people to say, listen, do not come and complain about this medical structure right next to your home if you're not willing to make adjustments. So going down there to begin to just introduce a very hot topic of zoning would be something that I would be very interested in, because we haven't considered it. We think that our property, our way, but then you're gonna either give up something to gain something, or you're not gonna move it off.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson, the question goes to you. Sometimes in North Louisiana, we feel forgotten by those elected officials in Baton Rouge. What issues would you like to bring focus?
There's a lot of issues that we would like to bring focus. I necessarily don't think that we don't have communications with our legislators, because we have some great legislators here that keep us informed and have kept us informed in the past few years. We've been able to collaborate with them. Whatever we pretty much wanted from our legislators, we just put it on a capital outlay, or some things that we were able to do without getting to that route, we were able to do it. And so some of our legislators, they have helped us. So I don't think when we've been in the past few years, we have been terribly forgotten, but we have brought millions of dollars back home with us, all of us traveling down very frequently to meet with our legislators and them collaborating with us even at home. So we have a lot that we could continue to do by just having communications with our legislators.
Great. Thank you. Finally, we're going to transition to District A. Mr. Hatton, the question goes to you. Is it difficult or too difficult to do business in Ouachita Parish? What challenges do you think people are facing that the jury could alleviate?
I don't think it's difficult at all to do business in Ouachita Parish. I think we have a lot of opportunities for people to start their own business, to get involved with businesses that are already established. I think the biggest challenge has already been mentioned, and that's labor. Getting the people to that point where they can hire associates to work with them, to work for them. Getting involved with what's been mentioned already, the workforce organizations that are here in this area, working with them to develop the people that's needed to work in the businesses that are being created now. But as far as starting a new business or opening business, I don't think it's difficult at all.
Ms. Bacon, the question now goes to you. Is it too difficult to do business in Ouachita Parishes? What are those challenges that businesses are facing, and what can the jury do to alleviate?
So I don't believe that it's too difficult to do business in Ouachita Parish. I do believe there are some infrastructure issues. I do believe there are some workforce issues. In meeting with people across my district in particular, I think if you ask different representatives from different industries, they all have a different answer. Developers that I've spoken with, they would tell you that it is a little more difficult to get projects started and sometimes sit on properties for 6 months to a year at a time before they can get going and get approval, and that costs them money. I think those are processes that we could look at ways to speed up. But again, it goes to different industries. I think infrastructure is a big piece, and improving workforce development is another. I believe the grant that they approved with the Manufacturers Alliance with our schools to get these young people on a path directly to employment is huge in helping solve the workforce issue.
So that's the end of round 4 by my count. So will you please now welcome Jay Curtis, the station manager for 90.3 KEDM, to do final statements.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you so much to the team that made all of this come together, which includes the Monroe Chamber of Commerce. Roy Heatherly, we call you Uncle Roy sometimes, but thank you so very much. Christopher Kelly, the West Monroe West Ouachita Chamber of Commerce, the Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Office also helping out tonight, and our hosts in this beautiful technology center, Louisiana Delta Community College. Thank you so much for having us. Just a reminder before we get started for the final, I had that card, where did it go? There it is, Election Day, October 14th. Early voting starts this Saturday, y'all, so be ready. Early voting starts Saturday and runs through October 7th, excluding this coming Sunday, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. You don't need a reason to vote early. A lot of times we forget to remind people of that. All voters can vote early in person in designated locations, starting again on Saturday. So we know that informed voters make better decisions, and we're grateful at KEDM to be a part of informing voters and being able to bring all of these candidates together. Candidates, thank you so much. I know how busy your schedules are at this time of the campaign. Thank you so much for making time for all of us and for us to be able to answer the questions. We know we can only get a glimpse in 60 seconds. These 60-second answers go by so very, very quickly, but you've all done a wonderful job, and we look forward to having in deeper conversations. If you had a question that didn't get answered tonight, well, you know what? All of these candidates are in the room. Stop them before they get to the door and ask one of those questions. So as we conclude tonight with our closing statements, 60 seconds for each. We'll start back in District A. Ms. Tony Bacon.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here tonight. I want to start by saying that over the past few years, COVID brought a lot of things, a lot of bad things, but it also brought a lot of dollars into our community, from PPP to employee retention to disaster relief. Those are dollars that we're hoping that we won't see, but those kind of dollars come into our community again. So with all the infrastructure needs and requests, and with inflation where it is, it's imperative that you have people in place on the jury who understand finances and that understand how to balance budgets and the importance of managing the dollars that come into the police jury. With my experience as a commercial lender for 29 years, I believe that I'm absolutely qualified for that job. I also serve on different boards as development vice president. I think having this experience is going to enable me to work well with the other jurors and doing what's best for our parish. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony Bacon. Candidate for District A, Tim Hatton.
First of all, thank you for allowing us this opportunity to share what we would do if we were elected. I appreciate it very much. If I'm elected, one of the things that I really think is bringing the community together, bringing people together. I've been in retail for over 30 years. As a manager, I understand how to work with others. I understand how to listen. The biggest thing that I really understand is responding. I respond to the needs, I respond to the requests, and I think that's what gets us where we need to be. Working with others, helping them achieve their goals, helping them achieve the things that they want to accomplish, and watching them, the excitement that they have when they meet those needs and when they accomplish the goals that they have. If elected, I'll work with our other jurors, I'll work with the community to get the things that they need accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hatton. In District B, candidate Jack Clampett. 60 seconds for closing statements, sir.
You know, my mother told me don't ever brag on yourself, but if you're an elected official, you have to. We do so many good things in Ouachita Parish the public don't know about. In 2016-17, I was the only full-time juror serving at that point in time. And the people that were doing economic development came to us and said, hey, look, graphics packaging is leaving the area. They have to have a specific site with a specific dirt because of the high-speed equipment they're running. And they're fixing to go to Clinton, Mississippi. The jury, because I had the time, graciously allowed me to work on it. Now, I didn't do it by myself, but I put together a team that not only saved 200 jobs, but created another 100, and guaranteed $270 million in investments in Ouachita Parish, the largest non-petroleum deal ever put together. Then started in 2020, we worked with the legislator again. We went out, we had dinner with them, we fed the fish, we fraternized with them, and as a result, just my district got over $5 million in capital outlay in the last 4 years. I want to take those same contacts and extend that for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clampett. Candidate for District C, Mr. Larry Gratton, 60 seconds.
Yeah, so look, number one, I was very humbled with the opportunity to be able to serve District C. District C is what I would call a very diverse district. Similar to Mr. Clampett, you know, it's almost a full-time job. Look, I tell my friends and all, you know, you can do this 24 hours a day, almost 7 days a week. There's something going on all the time, and we need to be involved in it. We have been. I'm going to tell you, this jury has done some remarkable things over the last 4 years. Some of our capital investments that we've got going, the new library that we've got going, new 911 centers that we've got going, all of the flood mitigation projects that we've got going, all of the long-term strategic investments that we're doing within this community, supporting VCOM, somewhere in the neighborhood of almost $65 million a year in this economy. This is some of the things that we need to be doing, we need to be focusing on. We need a strategic plan as we're moving forward to be able to go down to Baton Rouge. When we take these refugees in and all we get are accolades for what happened up here in Ouachita Parish, certainly that pays off when you get down there to the legislature and they're talking about sending funds back up to North Louisiana. So I think that we've done a lot of great things over the last 4 years, and I hope the opportunity to continue forward.
Thank you, Mr. Bratton. Candidate for District C, Mr. Lee Denny.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for hosting this event. It's a great event. I've been a business owner in Ouachita Parish for 31 years. I started on a police jury for 8. I served in leadership role as the president of the police jury for 4 years in East Carroll. I've been a deputy board director on the Mississippi River. Part of my job on both of those were communication with our legislatures in Baton Rouge and in Washington, D.C. I know my way to both towns. I have them on speed dial, but I build relationships and foster those relationships throughout my terms, and we're going to need those relationships to grow Ouachita Parish as we continue to do that. So that's something I'm proud of. One thing I'm very proud of right now on this election is I employ 40 college-age kids. I've seen not a renewed, but a new interest in politics amongst it. Half of them aren't even registered to vote right now. So they have become interested in not only this campaign, but now they're getting more interested in state politics and national politics. And I'm very excited about that.
Thank you, Mr. Denny. From District D, Ms. Janice Hayes, your closing remarks.
I would just like to say I'm so happy that y'all invited me here. And I'm gonna work hard if I win in District D. I'm gonna work hard for the people. I'm gonna be a team player with the jury. I'm gonna try to get things done like the roads. I'm gonna try to get things done, the trash up. I'm gonna go in my community. I'm gonna talk to the people in the community and make sure I listen. That's the best thing to do is listen. And then you go back and do your homework. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back and do my homework, and I'm gonna just continue to be what they need me to be.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Candidate for District D, Dr. Oliveth Reddix.
Thank you so much. As I said before, I served between 8 and 10 years before, and some of the things that we did was we were able to work with the community, and we were able to take something like a cemetery that was overgrown and convert it to right now. It is extremely pleasant to look at. We will work with Richwood High School and invest over $500,000 into their vocational programs, the medical vocational program. That came by us negotiating funds that were just kind of sitting there for medical. And we were able to, down Millhaven Road, Ouachita, Millhaven Road has a long street where you can't get out. We were able to take that Millhaven Estates and get a turn lane. We were able to go down and get where they had the water tower, where I saw how others had their names on there. So we got Richwood Rams. There was a numerous amount of things that we started then. So we really hadn't finished because the community still seeks out having the medical facilities in the communities, and they're walking the neighborhood. They are afraid, and I just am dedicated to serve to help them.
Thank you, Dr. Reddix. Candidate for District D, Michael Thompson.
Thank you all for allowing us to come tonight. It's been very rewarding in the last 4 years to be able to serve my community. And in my community, there are people that have always been able to knock on my front door. They have always been able to come and talk to me. I've talked to a lot of my constituents as often as I possibly can, or give them a call back. It seems like people like Tina Spencer, the presidential states, that call me all the time, and we just got a role for their area, $1.6 million for their roads. And people like Frances Goodjoint, that we can do things in her area in Lincoln Park and making sure that their ditches and their drainage is doing well. It's people like Donna Young off his area out of Desire Street that we were able to do things for them. People that we want to continue to work for. And I ask that all our constituents would vote and and re-elect me back into this position that we can continue to keep working with the community.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. From District E, Victoria Elliott.
Thank you, Ouachita Parish residents, for taking the time to listen to this, whether you're here or online. Thank you, Chamber, for hosting this, and everybody else involved for making this a free public event, very inclusive, and a step in the right direction. My main 3 platforms are term limits, so that we bring new ideas to the table, new energy to the table, and maybe our people that work here go on to represent us in other capacities. Transparency, so we know where our tax dollars are being spent. Right now, I do not feel like it is transparent, even though they got a superb audit. I do know that, I've been at the meetings. And then number 3, my third thing that I'm most passionate about is getting more people involved in this position. This is where the people's voice is heard, which means you don't have to be a particular thing, you just have to have the heart to serve the people. Thank you, and please vote for Victoria Elliott.
Thank you, Ms. Elliott. From District E, Shane Smiley, closing remarks, sir.
Thank you. 16 years ago when I ran for my first term, I ran because I chose to make Ouachita Parish my home, and I wanted to better the community in which we live. That goal has not changed, no matter how many years I serve. I haven't lost my energy to represent the people of Ouachita Parish, and I'm proud of the success that we've had over the last 16 years, and we've had a lot of it. We have faced a lot of challenges over those years, but I think we have done a good job in facing those challenges. You know, the police jury, if you don't think that it's more than a top-tier governmental agency, then you're mistaken. It's a business. We're one of the largest employers in Ouachita Parish. You know, we have so many different departments under us that we oversee. There's so much that is going on day to day, like that some of those jurors say, it's almost a full-time job. And, you know, I will say that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley.
60 seconds goes fast.
It goes by very fast. From District F, Mr. Lonnie Hudson, your closing remarks, sir.
Again, thank you all for hosting this forum tonight. I want to just say thank you all to the community for allowing me to serve you for the last 4 years. It has been a great pleasure to work with my colleagues. We have done so much tremendously over the last 4 years. We have dealt with so much. So I want to say, continue to trust me to lead this community. Continue to trust me to help lead this parish. Again, I want to make sure that we market South Ouachita Parish. We have a lot to offer. I want to make sure we invite businesses and other job placements want to come through. So let me say this. We want you here. Again, thank you for allowing me to serve you. If I can be any help, I'm number 73 on the ballot. Lonnie Hudson, give me 4 more years and I will work for you.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. From District F, Mr. Clifford Thomas.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to start off as well, thanking the West Ouachita Chamber, the Monroe Chamber, KEDM 90.3, and the Louisiana Delta Community College for affording us this opportunity to be able to speak to the people. And I'd like to thank each one of you that are here in the auditorium here tonight, as well as those that are watching by various media or listening by radio. We are just glad to be able to come and share some of our positions with you. I'll tell you, my brothers and sisters, if all you have to do is look out the window, drive through your community, ask yourself this question: am I better off today than I was 4 years ago? There was an old blues song that said, change is gonna come. But my brothers and sisters, your change has come. You don't have to sing that song no more. It's all about the people, and I'm just asking for you to consider just in your prayers to vote Cliff Thomas, number 74, Police District F. I'm gonna be your real voice. I'm not gonna be a silent voice and use sign language as a way of speaking up for you. We really will get some things done in our district area, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. And with that, we are finished this evening. Thank you so much for being here, candidates. Again, thank you for being here. Don't forget, Election Day is Saturday the 14th. Early voting starts this Saturday, September the 30th, and runs through next week. I'm Jay Curtis on behalf of Roy Heatherly and Chris Kelly and Louisiana Delta Community College, our generous host tonight. Thank you so much for being here and have a great night.